which illustrates that point, you're much more likely to remember that story. And if I then lock in my message to that story, you're therefore much more likely to remember my message. And that's the sense of what we're trying to do. So the most important thing is you're constructing a story. And unlike a book that you might write or a film or whatever, we do need to, at the end, work on how do we link the story to the message so that whenever anyone hears the story, they immediately then start to remember that message. I'm going to give a couple of examples as we go through. We'll look at the various different types of stories. Stories do take a while to tell. So that's it. The second thing we need to look at is we want to help the audience to see the world through our eyes. So most of my speaking tends to be about gender awareness, helping people to understand those of us who live in that world between genders. And it's a strange world that most people don't know much about. So when I'm talking about all of that, when I'm delivering my workshops, when I'm doing work online, I tell a lot of stories about my personal experience, my journey, if you like, in discovering I was trans, in coping with that, the fear I faced in going through it, some of the silly things I've done in trying to prevent people from finding out. But I want people to see the world through my eyes. Just what does it mean? How does it feel to walk down the street knowing that you're paranoid, terrified that everybody might be looking at you or sniggering about you behind your back? How do you deal with that? So I'm doing a lot of work around that. I'm going to, like I say, give an illustration a bit later on with a couple of stories. And also, I want to engage the audience emotionally. If I just give you facts, you're going to forget them. But if I connect emotionally, the two things are happening, and I've given you some facts. Usually there's some detail I've given you. By telling a story, I'm now connecting it emotionally. And what that's done, I'm actually taking two sides of your brain and connecting them up and making them work together. So you've got the facts around what I've talked about. I might, when I'm doing my workshops, talk about the numbers of people who face hate crime, the numbers of people who are bullied, percentages that people can't remember. Then I give a story about something like that, and suddenly it makes more sense. It suddenly connects up. And we've got lots of experience. I think I told you last week about some of the, well, last month about the work that's been done by, I think Save the Children, had put together a little leaflet showing all the details about orphans and hungry orphans in Africa and how bad the problem was. They then did another leaflet just telling a story about one girl. And they set up an experiment where basically they got some people to do some research. They paid them $5 and they said, oh, by the way, if you'd like to, could you give some of that money to charity? And they gave half the people the leaflet with all the statistics. Half the people were given the story about the one girl facing hunger in Africa. They got twice as much money donated to the single story than to the story with all the facts. They did also try it with the facts and the story, and actually that still didn't do very well. The story always actually engages more. People are far more likely to do something. It engages all our senses. And I think the other thing we need to look at in this is, when I say engage the senses, when you're telling a story, when you're looking at all the detail, it's worth thinking about the detail.
Live speaker training every week with Virtual Speaking Pros. Speak with confidence online. Fill your programs, masterminds, boot camps and courses for years to come pain-free.
Share with your wider community. Tweet on Twitter, post on Facebook, share on LinkedIn. Add value to the wider online business community.